I did not want to work Mondays anymore. I made it a non-negotiable moving forward that whatever I did, I was not working Mondays. And that was the goal I set. I didn't know how the hell I was going to do it. I had no freaking idea, but that was what I wanted to do. And that is what I set out to the universe, to God, to source, to whoever you believe in. And I said, I will, moving forward, in the very future, I will not be working on a Monday.
You're listening to the Art of Quantum Healing podcast with your host, Lisa Nadler. Each week we'll be welcoming divine souls who have overcome trauma, mental health addiction, and found next level abundance through mind, body, and soul connection. We will be going deep on one subject to teach and guide you. My mission is to help you high vibe, thrive with inner peace, passion, and purpose, all in the name of evolution.
So how is everybody today? How's everybody been? So I thought I'd come on today, and it's really funny because I did have a few people yesterday, and even this morning at the gym where I go, they're like, oh my goodness, did you do anything yesterday apart from pamper the hell out of yourself? And I'm like, yeah. But the biggest thing for me is that I set an intention about 6 years ago that Mondays were no longer going to be my crazy day. Mondays were no longer going to be my, oh my goodness, hammer down, go, go, go. And I'll explain about that, and I'll explain about the decision I'd made that changed my life. Well, definitely put the wheels in motion to be living the life that I'm living now. So probably, when did I leave my job? About 6 years, about 8 years ago, I think I left. And up until then, I was, for probably about 10, 15 years, I was an alcohol rep. And my Mondays were freaking crazy. Like, as you can imagine, weekends are the biggest time for alcohol sales. So Monday, Tuesday, to people to get in their orders in, to get their stock in, to get them in the fridge, to get them in the system, to do all their different bookwork, to get them on the shelves, to market them, to merchandise them, to make sure they had enough stock. Mondays, nearly every single one of my accounts ordered. And at this stage, when I made this decision, I was doing from Sunshine Coast up to just past Rockhampton and then out to Longridge. So I had a freaking huge area. So I did every pub, every club, every bottle store between Sunshine Coast all the way up to there and then all the way out. And I used to fly to Rockhampton. Like occasionally I drove. Occasionally I did a big trip and I drove. And I know that, Mondays as well was the day that I drove. And so almost the time on a Monday, I was on the side of the road. I was writing out the orders. Then I was putting them and keying them into my computer. And it was just go, go, go. And then I'd be working up until 10, 11 o'clock at night. It was freaking crazy. And I loved it. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I loved the actually thrill of getting the sales. I love getting the big orders. I love taking I loved upselling. I was a real salesy person because I always had been that. I love that face-to-face contact. And during the Mondays and really Tuesdays, I would go, we're talking about Mondays. So Monday, it would be like getting into the stores, getting the orders, going and counting that stock, for my big grunters, depending on what area I was in, and then making sure that my figures were aligning and selling any new products. And it was freaking Mondays were like I would get home and I'd be freaking exhausted, but I would still have heaps of orders to enter, so that I'd enter them because there was a cutoff, I think, of 2 or 3 o'clock. So between 2 o'clock, I think it was. So it was crazy up until then, and then I could sort of breathe a little bit, but then I had to go hard to get into all my outlets to make sure I got the upsells of sales, being a sales rep. So Mondays were freaking crazy. They really were. And I remember sitting on the side of the road one day just before, probably within a year of me actually leaving, and just one day just going, oh my God, I'm over this. I am freaking exhausted. I'm over this. I've been doing it for so many years now. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I'm making money, so much money for somebody else because I loved my job. I loved what I did, but I was exhausted. I was run down. I was tired. My nervous system come Sunday because I'd start getting that anxious feeling of, oh, am I going to get my orders? Is everything going to align? Is everything going to be good? And really on Monday afternoon, I would sit down and probably do 3 hours work. So plus I was working Sundays. So That's what it was too. So I was getting prepared. And then sometimes I'd also, if I was going away on Sunday afternoon, I'd go and I'd fill my car up with all my promotional gear, and I'd make sure I had everything, all my signage, all my promos, everything like that. And it was exhausting. So really, I was working from a Sunday. It was crazy. So I sat on that side of the road, and this is the decision I made. I made a decision that that was it. I was done. I could not keep doing this. I had to find some other way. And to me at that time, I loved what I did. So it was like it was a real pulling. It was like the heart. But I knew that I didn't want to keep making money for somebody else. Like I wanted to step out, and I wanted to see what I could do. But I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know the why. I didn't know the how. I just knew that. And I remember the day so clearly. And I was actually sitting there outside a bottle shop in Gympie, I think it was. Yeah, it was Gympie, Charlie's. And I was just like, oh, I'm done. I'm done. And I just navigated, and I had to wait for 3 other reps. And so that was eating up into my time. And it was just like, oh, I'm done. Phone call after phone call after phone call. Didn't know how, but that was the day I made the decision that I was going to change what I was doing. I was going to start to change one thing in my life that was going to change my external reality. And I then started to feel into what it was like. But first I released it. I was like, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I know I'm going to do it. I just know it's going to happen. And then I remember a few months later, it happened again. I was just like, oh God, that's right. And it was like constantly every Monday I was being triggered and triggered and triggered and triggered. Lisa, you're doing the same thing. Lisa, you're doing the same thing. Lisa, you're doing the same thing. And I remember sitting down, and I think it was when I was in Rockhampton. I'd driven to Rockhampton. I flew to Rockhampton, picked up my rental car, did all of Rockhampton, and that was just like I had a couple of interesting clients in Rockhampton, high maintenance. And I remember sitting in the hotel room and I'm like, okay, so what's my goal? I need to set a goal, because if you don't have a goal to work towards, nothing's going to shift. If you don't put a firm foundation and a line in the sand, and this is what I'm talking about, anything in your life, anywhere in your life that you're wanting to make change, that you're feeling that you are doing the same thing every day and you're just not getting the results that you want. And you're like, oh my goodness, like I have to cause change. I have to cause change. I need to change. I want to change. Make a clear decision. Because until you make that clear decision, until you draw that line in the sand, until you decide and put a goal attached to it, then nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. You have to commit. One of the biggest things I know with changing my life was commitment in everything I did. And then doing daily action towards that goal. Not necessarily knowing what you're doing, because you don't have to have a whole game plan unless that's how you roll, but knowing that you are consistently moving forward to create a different life. And this is the goal that you have. This is why you want to do it. And the thing is that it's not just about the why of doing it. It's getting into the emotion underneath the why. So what's the emotional why underneath your why? It's making a commitment. It's setting an intention for what you want to do to move forward. And you don't necessarily know. You actually need to attach from the how, and you need to attach from the how straight away, because sometimes when we make these big decisions and we make a decision that we want to actually change something in our life, we get caught up so much in the how within our head. We get caught up, and that's when the self-sabotage and the overwhelm comes from. So really the thing that you need to do is you need to decide what you want to do different. And for me, it was not working Mondays. I set the biggest thing, and I shared my story about it on the front of this, if you're coming in halfway through. I decided that I did not want to work Mondays anymore. I made it a non-negotiable moving forward that whatever I did, I was not working Mondays. And that was the goal I set. I didn't know how the hell I was going to do it. I had no freaking idea, but that was what I wanted to do. And that is what I set out to the universe, to God, to source, to whoever you believe in. And I said, I will, moving forward, in the very future, I will not be working on a Monday. Mondays will become my day. It'll become my self-love day, where I don't have to work my ass to the bone every single Monday. And I did things every day to move towards that felt like it was aligned. Didn't have to have a game plan, didn't have a game plan, just listen. And then I wrote down what my day looked like. What was my Monday going to look like for me? What was my week going to look like for me? What was my most perfect day? And then I just released it. And then fast forward, and so much in between that, but fast forward to a year now, I'm a year later and moving forward. Now Mondays is 100% my day. So I get up when I want to. I meditate when I want to. I do my self-love. I then go to the beach. I usually, every Monday, I'm down the beach. It's my day just to feel. It's my day just to allow. It's my day that I set myself up for making money for myself instead of making money for somebody else, and for doing what I love to do. And the money is just the reciprocal to that, because it really is you're doing whatever makes your heart sing. You're doing whatever makes you happy, brings you happiness. And I knew that working and slugging my ass for every week after week after week, especially on a Monday, was not serving my soul. It was not doing what I love. So I want you to think about if there's a part in your life that you want to do differently. And it doesn't have to be a whole career change. It doesn't have to be, oh my goodness, I want to change my whole career. It could be something really simple that just doesn't align to what makes you feel good, that doesn't make your soul sing, that you are just, you know what, I've had enough of this and I want to do it differently, or I want to do something different, or I want to be somewhere different, or I want to make something different, or I want to create something, or I want to, maybe it's that you want to actually get into your creative juices, but you don't know how. You don't need to know. Just set the intention that that's what you want to do, and then start to move to what aligned action feels good. And when I'm talking about aligned action, I'm talking about it can just be a simple, listening to your higher self and allowing yourself to move in a direction that feels good. You don't know why, but it just feels good. You don't know what's going to come of it, but it just feels good. For instance, I got a client who was like, oh my God, I'm just absolutely freaking exhausted. And I said, okay, what do you want to do? I just want to paint. Great, go and do that. Something as simple as that can change your word, because when you get into a space of doing what you love, you deactivate and you relinquish the mind, and you allow your heart to take over. And your heart place is your second mind. So you are going to get the nudges that you need. Sometimes you'll just get something like, oh. And for me, it was something as simple as I went to an event one weekend, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I always was like, nah. And what I wanted to do was actually right in front of my face the whole time. But I was like, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. No, that's not what I want to do. But sometimes you need to do something that's going to take you towards your bigger picture. And for me, it was network marketing. For me, it was actually, I had such a huge transformation. I talk about this a lot, that I actually started doing something that I loved, because it was so good for my body that people wanted it. But I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But the funny thing is that doing that led me to doing what I am doing now, which created my Mondays of doing which created me being able to do whatever I wanted with every single day. So I could create that non-negotiable, and that decision I made to not work Mondays a year before it. So sometimes you don't also second guess what's being shown to you. And there can be little nudges that show you where you need to go. Little nudges. But you don't see them. So when you open yourself up to receiving, when you make the decision, you open yourself up to actually allowing yourself to look around. You need to go that you're ignoring because you're so busy. And this is where I was so busy doing the same thing every day, rinse and repeat. And I wasn't following the breadcrumbs. I wasn't following my own path. I was following what everybody else was doing. I was thinking that I had to do what made everybody else feel good instead of myself. So when we can tune into our inner world, it opens up an external world of just great magnitude. So I really wanted to share that, because I did get a lot of, oh my God, you're Monday. Because everybody, like, Mondays is a crazy day. Mondays is a crazy day for so many people, right? But for me, it used to be the hardest day of my week. And really, it was Sunday, Monday. So now I do nothing on a Sunday, Monday. And I don't even answer very, very rarely, except to my VIP clients, will I answer and it's very rarely, will I answer my phone on a Sunday. Sunday till about 1 o'clock are absolutely my days because that was the cutoff day. That was a cut off to me when I did my orders. So between that space is me time. It's my time. It's what makes my soul alive. And I tell you what, doing that, I thrive for the rest of the week. I have so much energy because I also ground myself and I get into balance and I really anchor myself in for the week instead of go, 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 go. All right, my divine ones, sending you so much love and I will see you again soon. Mwah!
Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel and help us grow the community by sharing it with your friends. I am your host, Lisa Nadler, and this is The Art of Quantum Healing.